Okay, hello artists. Today we're going to go over our new packet, our new project, and talk about a couple of things that you guys can expect in the coming weeks. Okay, so to begin, we are going to cover what you guys are getting in your packet for this week. Okay, so your packets look a lot like this. It's talking about week 15 and 16 for your mosaic art project. And the purpose of this project is for you to recognize and understand the relationship between the sections, patterns, and colors in your mosaic project. While also demonstrating your understanding of what mosaic is. And we'll discuss that a little bit during class today. So if you open up your packet, you can flip through it and kind of see what we've got going on. The beginning starts out with a description of kind of what mosaic is, and there's some examples of different mosaic patterns that you can see inside of your packet. And just to quickly cover it, mosaic in art is the decoration of a surface with patterned designs that are closely put together and usually variously colored and often made from small pieces such as stone, material, glass, tile, shell, etc. Small broken pieces of things. And in our class, we're going to be creating a two-dimensional version of that. So my painting students will be painting theirs using watercolor, and my drawing students will be drawing theirs using colored pencils and pens and your guys' usual drawing supplies. Today, mosaics are still a really popular art form, and they are used in uh, kitchen glass tile. They are used in backsplashes. Oftentimes, you can find them in public works of art, such as, let's say, sculptures or wall murals, or you can even find entire sections of town that are just the floor is done up in mosaic stone or mosaic tile, and it's very colorful and very beautiful. So I expect the same from your guys' project. It needs to be drawn out very colorful, very beautiful, varying colors, varying styles, varying shapes and sizes and patterns. It needs to have all these in these little sections. Okay. The most popular subject for mosaics in the past were often mythological scenes, such as images of the mythical god Neptune, creatures and animals, muses and mermaids and sea creatures. But inspiration can also come from just daily life. So it would be things like hunting or agriculture or fishing, arts and crafts, cultural items such as jewelry or pottery, um, ceremonies. These things would be depicted inside of mosaic pieces of art. So you would see this giant mosaic piece, and it would be a scene from either something that they experienced in daily life or these mythical creatures and mythical stories, such as mermaids and oftentimes creatures of nature or of the sea. And seasons were also often illustrated. They were made in the form of people. So if you were to draw, let's say, fall as a person, you would draw them as a human and then give them certain characteristics or holding certain objects that represent fall, such as pumpkins or red and brown leaves, to have them knitted into their hair. And that would be a personification of the season of fall done in a mosaic. So that was another way that these things were done. And mosaics they've always just been loud, bright pieces, typically of public art. And they're just, it's a complicated piece of art. Takes a lot of thought process. You need to plan out your pieces, plan out your colors. It should be, like I said, varying shapes and sizes. And you should be creating just this very unique looking piece. I mean, there's not going to be another piece like it because every little section is going to be something different. So you guys are going to have 2 weeks to complete this assignment. We'll go ahead and go over the project outline now. You guys are going to have 2 weeks to complete it. I want you to start by reviewing the notes in your packet. You're going to be creating your own mosaic art piece, and be sure to stay true to the style of mosaic art. Your subject should be drawn first, and it should have different shapes and sizes and patterns before you begin to paint or color your final piece. I would say to use example images in the packet as ideas. And you can also do your own research online to see if you can find different styles of mosaics that you might want to try to use. And it's really simple as just look up mosaic art on Google Images and you'll find it. So to begin, the first thing you need to do is choose a subject. So as an example, I did choose a subject and mine was a green apple. Okay, so it might be a little difficult to see on the camera, but this is what I just decided to do for my example project. Just for you guys, it's simple, it's small. I expect a little more thought into your guys's. This is just to show you guys kind of what I'm expecting. So that's the first thing to choose is your subject. What are you going to draw or paint for your final project? Then you're going to take it and you're going to break the image into pieces. And the easiest way to do this is to use a straight edge, such as a ruler or a piece of paper, and just go over it and draw 2 parallel lines directly across it so that you can break the sections into various little pieces. Okay. And you don't want your pieces to be too big and you don't want your pieces to be too small. So I didn't finish cutting these pieces apart, but your pieces should be probably around this size. And as you can see, I have varying patterns. So some of these have polka dots, some of these have lines, but some of the pieces have the same pattern. So you want it as if like you took a bunch of dishes and you broke them apart and you had a few different pieces of the same kind. But the apple is going to be green, but notice that I also have different I have different tones and tints of green in my apple. So your patterns and your design should be varying, should be slightly different from each other. You can choose to do broken glass or tile to sort of that effect, or you can choose to do stone. I don't recommend doing 2 different materials, I guess. Like you wouldn't do stone and tile inside of one subject piece. This is just an example of 2 different ways you could do it. So I have the 2 styles in here. You guys won't be doing that. If you do choose to do tile and stone, I would say choose to do the main subject as either tile and stone, and then have the background be either tile or stone. That way, so if this whole thing is tile or broken glass, the outside could be lined with stone. And that way that becomes the negative space. And then your subject is still your positive space, which we discussed that a little bit previously. We were talking about negative and positive space in art. And the positive space is what your eye is drawn to, the focal point of your piece. Okay? So painters, as usual, you will be using watercolor paper. For you guys, I do recommend cutting thin pieces of masking tape. And on here where we have the different sections, I would say try to lose some of the stickiness on the tape. You can stick it onto your pants, remove some of that stickiness so it doesn't rip your paper, and lay it across your drawn design so that you can create the lines, and then paint over the masking tape so that it doesn't get onto those sections. That, or you can have no masking tape and try to paint every individual section, but that might be difficult. But you do need to have all the varying sections. And remember not to have too much space between the sections. You want to make sure that you have just enough space between the sections that you can tell that they're not connected, but you don't want them to be too far apart so that your piece doesn't look like a whole piece. Okay? And drawers, as usual, you're going to be drawing. Make sure you guys pay attention to line quality. You don't want your lines to be too thick because, again, these are stones. These are pieces of glass, and they don't typically have incredibly bold lines. They're not thick. They're bold in their shape, but they are not bold in thickness. So the lines shouldn't be super thick. You'll just watch your line quality. Watch the thickness of your line and make sure you're not making your line quality too wide or too thick. And every drawing should have a final and clean and finished look. So it needs to be outlined, it needs to be colored, and your projects need to be overall just finished. I don't want just graphite pencil. I don't want half drawn, half painted. I don't want large sections. They need to be minuscule sections, as if you broke a bunch of pieces of glass. Okay. So again, you have 2 weeks. I want detail. I want texture. If you're going to do the stones, make sure you have some shading around the outside to give it that three-dimensional effect. There should be bold lines. There should be bright colors. And your main subject, and every piece should have various patterns. Every piece should have various shapes and sizes within the different sections. You guys, like I said, will have 2 weeks to complete this project. It is the last project that you guys will have this semester. This is the last art project that you guys will have for this semester. So do your best on it. It's kind of accumulation of everything we've discussed this semester. It's talking about color theory, talking about line quality. We're talking about texture and details. So do your best to try to take everything that you've learned in this class, all the little tips and things that we've discussed, and we're putting it all into one for this Mosaic project, okay? So it's going to be worth 30 points for the final project. And then you guys will have 2 weeks to complete it, like I said, so make sure you do a good job with it. And then we will, after these 2 weeks, I will send home a packet that consists of your study guide and your final exam. And you will have 2 weeks to review the study guide, complete the final exam, and make up any missing work that you have. All missing work will need to be turned in. I believe the date that I have set for you guys is May 21st. So all the work that we've had all semester, I will accept anything you have until May 31st. May 31st, I will accept no more work. So make sure you guys have your stuff submitted. We're at the end of April right now. Gives you guys a little bit less than a month to get in anything that you're missing. So take advantage of this opportunity. Work on this project first for the first 2 weeks, and then use the last 2 weeks to complete your final exam, study for your final exam, and complete any assignments that you might be missing. Okay? Then for the last week of school, we're going to be having graduation, and there's not going to be time to send out packets and things like that. So for the last week of school, I will give you guys the opportunity to maybe come and I'll see if I can set up a Zoom and we can watch a video in class, or I'll send you guys a link to some videos, but we won't be doing any work for those last, I think, 4 days of school. Okay? Other than that, we do have parent-teacher conferences this week. So Tuesday is a half day. Wednesday is parent-teacher conferences for you guys. If your parents would like to have a parent-teacher conference meeting, please have them email me or send me a text message. My contact information is in your packets, right on the cover. It is every week. If anybody needs to get a hold of me, if you guys have any questions about your grades, if you guys have any questions about the project, feel free to reach out to me. I am available. I am here to talk. I am here to help. Other than that, I hope you guys have a great day, and I look forward to seeing what you guys will do for your projects.